Hey there, welcome to ITV. I'm Ambika Kulburgi. As you know, our cameras were with India-US World Affairs Institute that visited India in November and December as part of Maryland Governor's trade mission to India. This week, we continue with the last leg of their tour in Delhi. As part of the delegation's itinerary in New Delhi, today they continue their visit at the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry.
Governor O'Malley, your visit is historic with this distinguished delegation and will certainly open up new vistas of cooperation amongst businesses, the state of Maryland and India. We are also considering launching a CEO mission in April from FICCI, not only to visit the US, but specifically to Maryland, and we do hope that we shall allow you to play host for us. So ladies and gentlemen, I once again extend a very warm welcome to this august gathering and would like to invite Ms. Rita Jo Lewis, Special Representative for Intergovernmental Affairs, to address us.
You know, as I look around, we are so excited about being able to be back in India. I just recently came from a great conversation with our United States partner on this side for North America for India, Mr. Jawad Ashraf, who you will hear from later. And Jared and I have had conversations and continued discussions about our government's interests in supporting these types of efforts. So to be able to be here, we want to thank FICCI for its support of Governor O'Malley's trade mission. The governor's mission represents a tremendous opportunity to deliver on all of what cities and states and counties do every single day. And that is, they have common challenges, but they also have great opportunities. And with private sector participants, that is where we know the great opportunities also lie. So to be able to be here to continue the support of this dialogue and then to also reconnect with many government, private, and public sector folks that I met only a few short months ago is really indeed a pleasure. I will tell you that Secretary Clinton depends on these partnerships and goodwills that such states as Maryland are creating through collaborations with their state and local counterparts as an essential means of continuing to broaden these people-to-people ties that assist us in broadening and deepening our nation's bilateral relationship. Maryland, under Governor O'Malley's leadership, has brought a historic trade delegation. We believe at the Department of State that this is going to serve as a model for this type of engagement for other U.S. states, and it could not be happening at a better time. As many of you know, because a lot of you participated, that Secretary Clinton was in India in July for the U.S.-India Strategic Dialogue. And during her time in India, she traveled beyond the capital to Chennai, where she too met with Chief Minister Jayalalitha of Tamil Nadu and highlighted the importance of the work that all of us are doing about strengthening our relationships. But she announced at that time that I would be coming to India to go across India and to listen and to learn and to see where there were mutual opportunities and mutual benefits for our leaders at this local level to be engaged. So it was so important to be able to travel to places like Assam and Orissa and Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Nagpur, Mumbai, and then ending up in New Delhi. So since her inaugural strategic dialogue that took place in 2010, our U.S.-India partnership has flourished. So we have built on this momentum that took place there and think that this, too, the relationship you have here, is another key step in our people-to-people ties. FICCI, with its nationwide membership of over 83,000 companies, both domestic and abroad, and partnerships with 77 countries, shows how effective and indispensable international partners can be. Businesses worldwide invest in the United States because of the U.S. business climate, pro-growth business climate, productive workforce, and innovative culture. The U.S. market is open to products, ideas, and above all, to inward investment. The United States is the most consistently competitive and open economy in the world. Indian states present the opportunity for India's indispensable partnerships in business to strengthen both of our economies through investment and trade. We all understand that transparency and predictability attracts business and investors, which in turn creates jobs and helps raise standards of living. We also know that good economic governance and a welcoming investment climate will help India attract the foreign investment it needs to continue for the 21st century. So since the strategic dialogue that took place in July, the United States also and India have resumed our technical discussions on a bilateral investment treaty, which would further deepen our economic relationship and improve investor confidence. The investment opportunity that India cities, counties, and states offer is exactly what we hope will build a mutually beneficial collaboration, along with so many other efforts that both of our nations are doing. Today, I'm here to further this collaboration by listening to your views of how best to engage Indian cities, states, and counties with their counterparts in the U.S. so that everyone benefits from these opportunities. I'm excited to be joined by my Department of Commerce Minister Counselor Judy, who is in the front row, who many of you know. And we're excited to be here to continue these types of partnership engagements. And so, Governor, it is a proud moment for all of us to see only a few short months ago that not only at that level of engagement at the local level, but here with organizations like FICCI, that we will witness today and continue to congratulate you on the work that you will be doing with Meridian. And we're delighted to hear that FICCI will be coming soon to the U.S. We have been meeting closely with your Washington director, and we have assured her, just as we have done with the ambassador and the DCM, that we continue to stand ready to help your embassy and to help your consulates in making all of these types of visits very successful. So we appreciate your efforts, and we thank all of you for coming together today for an invaluable discussion. We know that together in partnership, we can all make a difference. Thank you so much. You know, as I
quickly give you an overview of what Jubilant Bhartiya Group is all about, what our activities are in the US at large and Maryland in specific, and how has been our experience of operating specifically out of Maryland. If you look at Jubilant Bhartiya Group, we are basically present in pharmaceutical and life science, agricultural products, polymers, retails, food, oil and gas, and marketing services. In terms of pharmaceutical and life sciences, a quick overview, our revenues almost are $770 million, primarily coming out of the US space. A very few people sitting in this audience would realize that 55% of our asset base is actually based out of North America. So while we are an India-based company, but our assets primarily lie in the US. Our sales come from US. 25% of our workforce is employed in North America. So that's the kind of commitment that we have towards that country and towards that state. We are probably the biggest and the best partner for Domino's in India. So it's not just one way of taking the activities and initiatives to US. We brought Domino's to India, and we sell more pizzas than Domino's sells in any other country.
Thank you very much, Mr. Agarwal. I think one of the best ambassadors of Maryland is in India.
That's true.
But thank you so much once again for your association with this event. And I would like to wish you all success in your endeavors to grow not only in Maryland, but even elsewhere.
Our port, interestingly enough, within an overnight truck ride, you have access to 1/3 of our population. So we are a gateway into the United States. 1/3 of our population is about the country of Mexico, over 100 million people that you can reach directly coming in through the state of Maryland. You have obviously the the central city of Baltimore in the state, and to the south, you have Washington, D.C., our nation's capital, which we technically consider a part of the state of Maryland. As the governor often points out, Maryland gifted the land. If you take a look at our population and profile, we have about 2% of the U.S. population. We're a small state, but still at 5.8 million residents, in terms of population, we're bigger than the country of Denmark. We are a very wealthy state. We have the highest median income of any state in the country. We have the highest percentage of millionaires anywhere in the country. We're also a very diverse state, and that diversity is part of our strength in that we have some of the best well-educated people anywhere in the United States. Whether it's PhD scientists and engineers, where we're number one, whether it's graduate and professional degrees, where we're number two, or bachelor's degrees, where we're number three, no matter how you slice and dice it, this is a very well-educated and wealthy state. This state, I would argue, and I know the governor will argue, has a better innovation infrastructure than any place in the United States. You have a concentration of all the key federal research facilities in life sciences, in cybersecurity and in IT, which, if you add it all up, we have the highest per capita federal investment in R&D at $13.3 billion in the United States. If it's in terms of total dollars, we're number two, with only having 2% of a population. So there's a tremendous amount of research in a wide variety of areas, pushing the envelopes of knowledge, and more importantly, creating commercial products that we can work together on. If you look at our schools, we have a number one public school system in America for the last 3 years running. We have a high concentration of universities, and we're joined by a number of them here today, whether it's folks from Johns Hopkins, University of Maryland System, whether it's College Park, UMBC, University of Maryland, Baltimore, Morgan, Montgomery College. There's a wealth and a concentration. We export educated people. When we're looking at the opportunity with India, what we see is the world's largest democracy. What we see is a rapidly growing marketplace that we want to be a part of. From 2005 until now, our exports to India increased by 70%. And I dare challenge anybody in this audience to find another segment of Maryland's economy that would have grown that fast. And what we're talking about now is close to $200 billion that we export, and we also import a fair amount from India as well. So this is a mutually beneficial relationship. And for companies that are in this audience that are thinking about a location, we hope that you join the likes of Lupin, that has a headquarter in Baltimore City, or Samara Tech, that has a headquarter in Montgomery County, or Advent Infosystems in Montgomery County, or Tata Group, that has something in Prince George's County, the 8 O'Clock coffee brand. We hope that you join a number of these folks in considering us as that place. We have some very deep ties with this country. There's a really high concentration of Indian Americans in Maryland, and they've done very well for themselves. They own over 3,000 businesses in the state. We hope that that provides a basis for collaboration and basis for opportunity for both of us to grow our retrospective economies.
When we're lighter vein, when you mentioned that Maryland is a state of 5.8 million people, which is larger than the country of Denmark, I just want to share with you it is about 1/3 that of Delhi.